Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and as a special Christmas treat, I thought I would treat you to some absolutely phenomenal words of wisdom from the guru Top G himself, Christopher Ingham, who has taken to his various social medias recently to have a go at people, and it's great. So without further ado, let's get into what he's been saying. On his most recent vlog, somebody said kids are not content, and they would be right. Kids are not content. Chris replied this, and it blows my mind. Bought off with this new agenda. It's a new agenda. Apparently, the fact that we've been talking about it for the last few years hasn't quite seeped into that moronic little brain of his to say that yes, kids are not content. He thinks that it's a new agenda. He's only just hearing about it now, right? It's talked about all over the bloody internet, and I know for a fact he's seen it on my channel, right? So it's the fact that he's going on about it being a new agenda, it absolutely blows my mind that you would think that. He goes on to say, just like any other parent, if I want to share my kids' moments on social media, I will. So yeah, no, Chris, no, because you know, most kids, they don't exploit their most parents don't exploit their kids for money, right? They don't do it. That's not what that is not what the sharing their kids on social media is all about. But as you mentioned, other parents, I would say that they shouldn't be sharing their kids on social media, right? You can't really offer that as an excuse. What you should be saying is, hello, fellow parents, you really shouldn't be sharing your kids on social media because of XYZ, right? But you don't, because you also think that sharing your kids on social media is a good thing, it's a positive thing, and not only that, but they are working for their beings, right? They are working to live in the motorway manner, right? So this person replied to Chris and said, yep, you carry on making money, exploiting your children, who, by the way, are not old enough to consent. And again, that's spot on. Whoever you are, brilliant. That is absolutely spot on. Now, this person here, who, if you know anything, will know that she is all over the Ams Comments, and she likes to defend the Inghams. She's a big iFam, right? But this really annoys me, this particular comment, and it's not specific to her, but all iFams say it. She says, it's up to the parents, plus if you watch them, you will know. If they don't want to be filmed, they're not. Yeah. But if you ask Jace, do you want to be filmed to millions and millions of people and be exploited for money and have your image all over the dark web, what would he say? he wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. That's the point. And if you ask baby Aurora if she wants to be on the vlogs, you're a fucking moron if you think that way. I'm sorry, but it's moronic, right? I can't stress this enough, right? I'm sorry, there are people out there who actually will be offended with me ranting at them, right? Because I can't get my head around people like this who think this way, who won't listen to logical things, right? I don't understand illogicalness. Yeah, I know. Right, so if they don't want to be filmed, they won't be filmed. You know, they have the choice. Yes, 18-year-old adult Isabel has the choice. And notice she doesn't want to be filmed that much. So isn't it also indicative of maybe to say that a newborn baby might also have that same desire not to be filmed, but because she can't speak and doesn't understand, she can't. Right? Do you not understand that? Anyway, Chris replied, "Exploiting our kids? Long? Bore off. Travel agent." Clown emoji. Right. Oh, unbelievable. So yeah, obviously he doesn't think that he's exploiting his kids because it's all over the internet, Chris. It's all over the internet. It's unbelievable. You know, this is why he gets people on his channel and who think the way they do, because Chris thinks the way he does, and it rubs off on everyone else. You know, like-minded people stick together, don't they? It's unbelievable. But then there was more comments on the vlog, and people were saying about how they don't know what stress is on a day-to-day basis because they don't have those stresses. Chris, he is stressed to the max. Just because you see 20 minutes total of any given day, don't presume we don't work outside of that. We own multiple businesses, of which take up monstrous amounts of time. Yeah, really? I thought you'd left the Matrix, Chris. I did. I thought you had left the Matrix and you no longer worked, right? You were not a slave to the working system. I know, it's hard to believe, but it seems like that you are, in fact, in the Matrix. But, you know, what do I know? He goes on to say, "Trust me, we work for what we have." No, your kids work for what you have, Chris. If it wasn't for your kids, you would have zero. Because even if you take into account these other businesses, which you claim to have, they are all linked to the Ingham family YouTube channel, you see? So if you didn't have the Ingham family YouTube channel, you wouldn't have any form of other side hustles, as you like to call them, right? Because you wouldn't have any followers, you wouldn't have any fans, you wouldn't have any way of making extra funds. It is all linked to your kids. If your kids didn't be exploited, then you wouldn't have any of it. So no, you haven't worked for what you have. Your kids have worked for what you have. He goes on to say, "And still pull off the boss's Christmases ever for our children." The what? I'm sorry, but what? The boss's Christmases? The bossiest? Oh, fuck. Jesus, I don't know. Okay? It is, it's a mouthful to even say, and Chris, you know what a mouthful's like. Anyway. He then goes on to say, "Thank you. Something we also did back when I, Chris, worked 60 hours per week, minimum wage at an airport pre-YouTube." Yeah, you did work then, Chris. You did. Right? I'm not saying that you didn't. Nobody's saying you didn't work then. But were you on... Did you make a lot of money? No, you say minimum wage. But what's that got to do with now? You're not working now. Trust me, you could never ever cope with the stresses that our lives encompass every single day. Now, This is the one part I agree with, right? I do actually believe that they have stress upon stress upon stress every single day. But the reason why they have these stresses isn't because of everyday work. It's because of people reporting him and watching out for him and him having to look over his shoulders and things like that. And that is why he has all these stress. And it's all linked back to what he did back in 2018 with messaging the girls and everything. And that is why they have stress, not because they have an incredible stressful life with working every day and keeping a big household together. And not everyday stresses, right? The stresses they have are completely preventable stresses, in that if they didn't exploit their kids on YouTube, then they wouldn't have these stress, right? And that is preventable, but they just won't, because it is their form of income. They need to do YouTube, otherwise, they have nothing. And somebody else said, scraping the barrel with these vlogs. You're so out of touch with reality and the stresses of real life problems. And they obviously got their IFAM there defending them. They aren't out of touch. They choose not to show that. And I, for one, am grateful. I'm grateful for anything the Inghams put out. Seriously. And Chris replied to that, comments like this are just hilarious. You wouldn't last 12 hours in our boots. Trust me. These videos are a positive highlight reel of our days. This is positive. My God, Sarah moans and complains and whines and complains and moans and complains and whines and complains all vlog long, and that is the most positive. That's the most positivity that you can put out in a day. Jeez, my God. Mostly that people find escapism in out of touch. Says the person dedicated to watching videos from a family they claim to hate. The world is full of sad desperates like you. None of you clowns would last a minute in the real life stresses that we endure every single day. Yes, again though, Chris, it is down to you. You did it to yourself, right? I'm not saying that you have to go through all these stresses. I'm not saying people should, call you out in the streets and stuff like that. And I'm not playing the blame game, but I am saying that you did it and made it this stressful. You could also choose to try and alleviate the stress, but you choose not to. And that is down to you. That is on you completely, right? Mostly because the biggest stress you have in your lives is having to leave your bedroom at your mum's house to go collect your job centre sign on every 2 weeks, and then all the clown emojis. That's lovely, isn't it, Chris? You can't help yourself. You must be living your best life on your hollybobs, and you are, yeah. Is this while Sarah's watching her Christmas movies? Is it her Christmas movie marathon, and you decide to take to social media just to have a go at people? Now, I want to address this, right? And I know some of you will be like, why is he talking about this? Is Esme, right? This is on Esme's TikTok. Somebody said, and I don't condone it, by the way, somebody said, imagine having a predator for a dad. Now, obviously, don't be commenting that on a 14-year-old child's TikTok, but this is what Esme actually replied to it. Instead of deleting the comment or reporting it to her dad or her mum or something like that, no, she took to TikTok to reply to it. Oh yes, she said, people that still believe that, and then a clown emoji. So here's what I would say, right? There's so many things I actually could say about this, and I'm not going to, because as I said, it's a child's TikTok and a child that's replying to it. I think it's very indicative of the things that she's been told down the years, and that maybe she actually doesn't believe it. Well, I mean, would you? To be fair, right, if your parents were outed on social media or even mainstream media, and would you believe, right? No, you wouldn't. And I'll tell you for why, actually. This is a real life example from my perspective, right? When I was about 10, 11, 12, my dad was on the front page of the local newspaper, right? And he was like outed for it was a big story about him owing money to this guy. I can't remember the exact details, but anyway, right? I saw it. My friend at the time brought the paper to me and showed me, and I was quite horrified, as you would be. And I remember asking my parents about it, and they turned it around and said, no, the story's wrong. What is actually the case is that person who is claiming that we owe money to owes us money, right? And I took that as read, right? I took that as fact. Yeah, my parents, they've told me this, and it's true, right? So I went and told my friend that is the actual case and not. So my point here is, because I believe that story originally, it wasn't as my parents told me anyway. But the point here is that when you are young and you see something and then your parents tell you this is the way it is, you believe them. So in Esme's case, that's what's happening here. She'll grow up eventually and she'll find out the truth, and that'll be, up to her to deal with that. My issue with what's happening here on Esme's TikTok is the fact that Chris and Sarah have fucked up the situation so badly that they are getting their 14-year-old child to have to defend them. That is ridiculous in the extreme, and is not nice. It's horrible and it's wrong, right? Now, sticking with Esme's TikTok, right, everybody knows good old Elizabeth from the Ingham's vlogs, but she's now taken to patrolling Esme's TikTok to let everybody know what's what. Somebody commented, so excited for the vlog, if you're doing one, and Elizabeth replied, they're doing one. Somebody else, is there gonna be a vlog? Elizabeth, yes. Will you be doing the Christmas Day present opening that you usually do this year? And please, blah, 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 blah. And Esme replied to it, but Elizabeth, yes, they are. Did you guys not get advent calendars this year? And Elizabeth replies, they did. So, yeah, as you can see, Elizabeth is patrolling Esme's TikToks to give everybody the lowdown answer for her. She is the official Esme Ingham, replier. I don't know. My point here is that she's a full-grown adult, right? And she is on Esme's TikTok and replying on behalf of Esme. Like she needs somebody else to reply for her. And if this was a hater of some description, you wouldn't have them on your TikTok. You would delete them. It's just weird. I don't know. I don't really know what my actual point here is. I just thought I'd point it out because I found it a little bit strange that Elizabeth would be there or thereabouts, making sure that Esme's TikTok is all tip-top, so to speak. So yeah, that was a brilliant rundown, a little insight into what's going on in the Ingham household right now, wherever they are in the world. So if you have appreciated this video, please give it a massive thumbs up, comment all your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, take care of yourselves and bye bye.